the best story that I hear is, the customer comes back and says, "Oh man, we just got a report from our network team that our network was down for 45 minutes, and we didn't even know we entered LAN outage mode, and everything ran as it should." I'm like, that's what we're trying to provide.
Yes.
And provide you a solution where you don't even have to think about it. You continue focusing on sales and revenue. What's the strategy for your solution as a customer, while allowing us to provide a platform that's stable and reliable for you to continue carrying with your business strategy.
Yeah, that's the edge that edge gives you.
Exactly.
NCR Voyix, based out of Atlanta, Georgia, is a technology company serving the retail and restaurant industries and transforming the future of commerce. But behind all of the software and services we deliver, we have our people. While we're headquartered in Midtown Atlanta, we've got offices and employees around the globe working in engineering, research, design, strategy, and more. With our talented and diverse employee population and exciting and cutting-edge work they do, we wanted to explore each of our employees better on an individual level and take a deep dive with them, not just a quick look. Welcome to Not Just a Quick Look. I'm your host, Jenny Reinick. I am sitting down today with another great NCR Voyix employee, Oscar Garduno. Welcome to the show, Oscar.
Thank you for having me.
So we played this game a little bit earlier on our season, but our listeners don't currently know what you do here at NCR Voyix. So I'm going to ask you some questions that might help them guess what you do.
Sure.
So what program or application on your laptop do you use the most on a day-to-day basis?
Slack.
Slack. Nice. Okay. And what do you do in there? Just like chat with your coworkers? Problem solve?
No, I orchestrate the development and release of our software.
Got it. Okay. And then what is your go-to beverage to keep you energized at work?
Coffee. I'm a black coffee kind of guy.
Black coffee.
Closely followed by water.
Nice. Got to stay hydrated.
Yeah.
And if we were to listen in on your typical workday, would we mostly hear typing, talking, or thinking?
Ooh, both typing and talking. I lead a lot of meetings, and I actively do lead the calls with note taking and kind of writing down our ideas for development and improvements. Pretty engaged. It's kind of like multitasking, but it's becoming kind of second nature to do it every day at this point. It feels a little bit odd if I'm not typing as I'm talking almost.
Right. Excellent. Yeah, you got to keep track of everything, record everything.
Yes.
All right. So the answers to those questions are meant to give us little hints about what you do. So go ahead and reveal the answer for us. What do you do here at NCR Voyix?
I'm the senior manager for the Edge platform, where we are focused on containers.
Focused on containers. Okay. So as someone who maybe just like uses self-checkout at the store occasionally, what does that mean? What does containers mean?
Okay, sure. So traditionally speaking, a lot of stores run their software on virtual machines, Windows machines, and we're transforming how applications run at the store by containerizing them via Docker images, applications that we then deploy in the cloud or at the edge, meaning at the store.
At the store. Okay, yeah. Got it. So it's kind of like compartmentalizing a little bit.
Sure. It allows us to build a similar package that can be reused in many locations.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. So if you had to explain what you do to a small child, how would you explain it?
Oh, boy. Okay. I would probably show them a cell phone and say, compare against getting over-the-air updates to your phone, but at a store.
Right, exactly. So you're working on sending those software updates to the hardware that's in the retail stores.
Sure. So it's a little bit more than that. So we provide updates to the store for their observability monitoring, making sure everything is healthy. But we also provide the platform for other teams, whether they're internal to the company, to NCR Voyix, or their customers, meaning their DIY bringing their own software. We provide the platform for them to run their applications at the store.
Got it. Okay. Does that help them kind of see everything at once?
Yeah, we offer the ability for them to see the health, the logs, how their individual containers or applications are performing at each lane or in the store in general.
Got it. Okay. So if I'm a retailer, what sort of decisions would that information help me make?
That would help you be proactive in addressing potential issues that you may see at the store. One of the challenges that I think we face that teams that are used to just being in the cloud is resource limits. There's a server, a computer it's only so big. It can only have so much CPU, so much RAM, so much memory, disk memory. And so we have to be very transparent in giving the customer enough and more than enough information to understand, hey, maybe my hardware needs to be upgraded. Maybe, what our long-term strategy is no longer working with the hardware that we have in the store.
Right, right.
But that's very costly. But alternatively, it could also give them the ability to say, hey, maybe we can improve how many calls we're making or reduce the, how bloated some software is. Or maybe we don't actually need this piece of software at the store to run more lean, right? To really optimize what they think they need. Because right now we're starting with retail customers, right? A grocery store. But the long-term strategy, I think, is that Edge has a very broad opportunity in the market that NCR Voyix doesn't have footprint in right now.
Right.
And that comes with different hardware, different customers, different needs. And so we have to be flexible enough to accommodate for our internal needs and for our customers' own needs.
Right, exactly. So it sounds like it's very different for each customer, what their needs are, and we kind of consult and help them decide what they need to do in order to be the most efficient.
It can be, but I think the challenge that we have is that we cannot build software that is tailored to one customer because that one customer's needs may be different from somebody else in Europe or in Asia or Australia, right? North American customers' needs could be very different. So it's a challenge of balancing customer wants versus product needs.
Right. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. So tell me the story of how you ended up at NCR Voyix.
I graduated from the University of Georgia in 2013, with this December class. Before graduating, I attended the career fair, like a lot of students do nowadays. And I had a job offer coming out of college back in September. So once I had that, I was just like, woo, I'm done. Graduated. My first job was at General Motors. I was working at their innovation center in Roswell. It was brand new at the time. And I worked there for about 5 years. I moved between teams, but I felt like my growth potential and ability and the skills and technologies I was exposed to were very limited. So, I left, and just through networking, my friends worked at Tin Roof, which is contracting or consulting company that, has contractors at different customers. So I already had friends that were here. I saw that the building was new, right at the center of everything in Midtown.
Yes.
I thought that was super exciting. I had just moved to Buckhead from Alpharetta. And so I was like, I'll go work at NCR, and I already have some friends there. It'll be nice socially. So from the social aspect, I'll still be able to hang out with my friends. But based on what I'm hearing and the cloud transformation that the company was going through at the time, that really seemed up my alley because I had never worked with AWS or Google Cloud Platform or anything like that. I had worked on traditional Java applications and read block deployment settings where they had 2 data centers. So then I started working for NCR at the time as a contractor under what was at the time called the BSP, Business Services Platform, which is now BSL. I was working with Eric Gottschalk. I believe that's how you say his last name. It's quite challenging. Sorry, Eric. I came in asking to be a developer, but I had a lot of DevOps experience from a previous position at GM. I was the release manager doing releases to production bi-weekly, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 p.m. until like 2 a.m.
Oh, wow.
So I was already used to that grind. So I really wanted to get back into development. And so when I came to NCR, that was one of my main asks. But, with my resume, they had seen that I had a lot of DevOps experience. So I was kind of offered to do both, work in DevOps and work in development. That soon transformed into full DevOps, but it really gave me a challenging opportunity to learn a lot of technologies that I had never worked with. By nature, I'm very competitive. I look my peers around me, and I never want to be the one bringing up the rear. So I spent a lot of time studying, learning outside of work hours. I would try to get to the office a little bit earlier, leave a little bit later. And I think I was really privileged, and this is, I think, where Lady Luck comes into play a little bit. When I joined the company, and in the section that we were sitting, there was, I can't remember her name, somebody, I think it was like a team lead that was sit directly in front of Eric. Me being a newcomer, nobody took it. I was like, can I take it? So I sat directly in front of the manager, right? And it's a full section, and I got to hear and learn a lot. Probably things that I wouldn't have been exposed to otherwise. But I also got to be around a lot of great individuals that were very challenging, that are very good at what they do. So I felt like, wow, I have so much to learn, and I tried my best to pick from them all the great traits that they have. Some of them were contractors, some of them were NCR employees at the time, and just kind of learning and then asking questions and trying to be efficient, optimize everything I was doing. If we were doing database migrations, we would have races to see who had the best or the fastest script with no data loss. Because we were, when we would do, at the time, we were doing transformations from AWS to GCP, and in DevOps space, there were migrations, right? And so my goal was perform these migrations very rapidly, very efficiently, without zero data loss and no downtime. So worked in that for a while, and then COVID happened. But a select few of us from a lot of the BSP, BSL area were recommended by managers like Eric or others on the platform to work on this new product called Edge. So I believe there were 8 of us to start out. Coming in, there was no hierarchy. There was no set precedent of what everybody was doing. We came in. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? What area are you from? And then backend development, worked with backend developers, UI with UI, DevOps with DevOps. So we came and took over the project. And one of the things that was new that I think we still carry forward, and it's unique and really challenged to keep up with, are the demos that we had to give every 2 weeks. I think it was originally every 2 weeks, and then it moved to every month. But we call those the stakeholder demos. And it's still something that's critical and still very integral to our process to this day, where engineers, leads, UI, backend, everything in between, SRE kind of level work, everything. Engineers are able to have the platform to share what they worked on in the time frame to key stakeholders. And so now, as the product is maturing, it's something that I continue to ask engineers to do because, one, it showcases their skills in front of leadership. It offers them the ability to continue developing their public speaking skills, right? Because it's under pressure. You have to demonstrate something. And we all know how demos go. Sometimes they don't go. The application doesn't start. There's a bug. And it's how do you recover in those moments? How I got to my current position as developing the DevOps squad and leading it, we had our first manager, Austin Loris. Fantastic person. She's taught me a lot. I've learned a lot from her. She really, when she came to the team, she was new to Edge, so tried to be as best of a teammate as I could, sharing information, providing updates, kind of making my area be something that she didn't have to be concerned about. Kind of self-driving, understanding what the requirements are, understanding what we need to do to get the product to the next level. So that's kind of what I focused on. And then there was one team meeting where she said, we're going to be hiring another manager. If you know anybody else, let me know. Send me a message. I pulled her to the side that same day and I said, I don't know if I'm ready for it yet. I don't know if what you're exactly looking for, but I'd love to be given the opportunity to show you that I can take that role.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think it's like when opportunity comes to knock, and there's times where you have to reach out and try to grab it.
Yeah.
Right? We have to
raise your hand.
Exactly. You have to be the drivers of our own career. There's people that will push us, but ultimately we're in the driver's seat. So through that, I was able to, she said, okay, let me think about it. She came back to me a few days later, asking if I was interested in managing the intern project this summer. And we had 6 interns that summer from various universities at Duke, Georgia Tech, UGA. And so I said, sure. So on top of my regular duties, I still was responsible for roadmap, demos, presenting it, delivering it, helping block my own team, working with architects to make sure that our designs were in line with what the long-term vision was. I managed and led the intern project. And I think at that time, I learned the valuable lesson of being able to pull from others when you yourself don't know everything. Because coming from the DevOps space, right, integrating with the back end or the front end, there's pieces that I understand, but it's not the same as working in a day-to-day.
Right.
So then I was able to pull in my peers and ask for support. Okay, would you mind helping me review this architecture diagram for what we want to implement to make sure that in the long-term strategy is something that we can adopt to the platform.
Right.
Right. That worked out really great. We had a fantastic summer class. And then later that, in August, that month, that's when I got my offer to become a manager. And so then I became her partnering manager for the platform.
Yeah. Good transition into a management role.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk about Edge for a second, because Edge is also a industry-wide term. And I think we're at a point in 2025 where most people are very familiar with the cloud and if you upload files to the cloud and then your laptop gets thrown off a building, at least your files are safe in the cloud. So how do you describe Edge in the context of cloud versus on-site?
So I think Edge is the differentiator in the market and continues to be solely for the purpose that we are able to function at the edge, at the store, right? I understand. I agree. Cloud development is pretty standard nowadays, right? Spin up a few containers for your application with the database, perform some actions against your backend services and return something, right? Cool. But the challenge that we face is that our customers don't want to just be in the cloud because they want to make sure that transactions at their store continue to happen, whether there is a WAN or LAN outage scenario. So if the network goes down, right, the customer wants to make sure that they continue selling and that once connections and network is reestablished, then there's no data loss. So that is the difference for us is we're able to spin up containers in the cloud like everybody else. No problem. It is the challenge of providing a platform to release that software with limited resources while also having enough bandwidth for application teams to be able to deploy their software, host their databases, be able to perform whatever transactions they have to store on the same hardware while making sure that if the network goes down, the wide area network goes down, the customer can automatically turn into LAN outage mode, continue processing transactions, continue processing payments, continue making sure that store clerks, store assistants are able to continue logging in, continue to make sure that any of the transaction logs are retained, zero data loss. And then once things are reestablished, connection is reestablished, all of that can be processed to the cloud like anything else for ensuring that all records are accurate, all transactions are accurate, and to even update catalog updates items if they want.
Right,
so
right.
It's the challenge of continuing to provide stability at a store when things go wrong.
Right, right. And all the while, our customers never know anything went wrong.
Yes, the best story that I hear is, the customer comes back and says, "Oh man, we just got a report from our network team that our network was down for 45 minutes, and we didn't even know we entered LAN outage mode, and everything ran as it should." I'm like, that's what we're trying to provide.
Yes.
And provide you a solution where you don't even have to think about it. You continue focusing on sales and revenue. What's the strategy for your solution as a customer, while allowing us to provide a platform that's stable and reliable for you to continue carrying with your business strategy.
Yeah, that's the edge that edge gives you.
Exactly.
Cool. So, fun question.
Sure.
What futuristic invention do you wish existed right now, and why?
It sounds basic, right? But I think flying cars would be really cool.
Yeah, that would be fun.
To me, one of my passions is driving. People I love driving my manual car through the mountains and seeing beautiful views. That's, seeing the sunset over the Pacific Ocean as I'm driving twisty roads. That's life for me, right? So if I could fly somewhere to more remote areas or different countries with my own vehicle, and still be able to do that, back to that older driving style, I think I would really like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you call yourself a car guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like working with my hands and working on my car, suspension, brakes, oil changes, whatnot. That's my de-stressor, right? With all throughout the week, I'm using my mind, and but when I decompress and de-stress,
get some grease on your hands. Yeah.
And driving, just rolling down the window, putting on some music, and just feeling the wind in my hair.
Yeah, love that. A flying car would also be nice for Atlanta traffic. There have been many a times that I am like, if I could just skip over these cars.
I wouldn't be surprised that even with flying cars, it still took an hour to get from Atlanta to Atlanta.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if everyone had them. But
yeah, exactly.
What's your favorite thing about your role here at NCR Voyix?
I think my favorite part about my role, my favorite thing about my role is the impact that I'm able to make on individuals, like how much my impact can be. As a manager, I truly value the impact and career growth opportunities and mentorship that I'm able to offer to people I work with, junior engineers, up to senior architects, everybody in between. I'm very transparent in my person. I try to be myself all throughout, at every facet. But also because of my opportunity, because of my role at the company, leading the platform, now I'm able to, make a broader impact outside of just Edge. I recently joined the Latin NCR Voyix BRG, Business Resource Group, and I'm now one of the board of directors for that, and I volunteered to be the philanthropy director, right? So now that I can help reach broader individuals, or like the community as a whole, with some of with the experience that I have. One of the things that we recently did was GSU, the Society of Hispanic Engineers chapter, or Professional Engineers chapter. They recently started a hackathon. They did their hackathon for the first time. So I volunteered, went, gave mentorship feedback on their designs, helped them on block and code, helped with the presentation. It was also a judge, and I was there. I think I got home until like 11:30 that night or something like that. Stayed back and chatted with young college students, gave them feedback on resume, answered questions on interviews, gave them feedback on their presentations, kind of like just giving back to the community. And I think based on my background and where I'm from, that kind of is, I've come from such a different background than a lot of individuals now all I want to do is kind of give back. Yeah. So I feel empowered now because of the position I'm in, that I'm able to do that with my immediate team by challenging, grooming them to be better individuals, but also helping with career growth within the company, to now also being in a position where I can also help with community outreach.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a good segue into where are you from and how did you end up at UGA and what did you study there?
Sure. Okay. I was born in Mexico, in the state of Mexico, probably about an hour north of Toluca. So very rural. When I grew up, where I was born didn't have running water. We had an adobe house. We had an outhouse for cooking, an outhouse for the bathroom, tin roof. And whenever there would be dust storms, the roof could come off. We had a well down, and my sister and I, when I was younger, we would herd sheep. We were on a farm. I had a donkey. He was awesome. And we would, the old school phrase of down the hill, up the hill both ways, or something like that, whatever, up the hill both ways, there you go.
Yeah.
It was true. We'd have to go down, across the river, up the hill to go to school, then come back down and up the hill.
Yes.
So that's where I was born. But we migrated to the U.S. when I was 8 years old. My dad was in the banking industry. So he kind of leaned into that coming to the U.S., didn't like it as much, and then kind of was more so started his business. But then, so I moved here to Atlanta around that age. So I had the challenge of learning English at a very young age. I went through ESOL, learning, and so I struggled to pick up history, science, anything but math, right? Until middle school, I was struggling with my grades. And it wasn't until high school where I finally caught my stride and was able to study efficiently and went from college prep to honors to AP classes. And, through that progression, I was able to take on AP classes, get AP credits. And I didn't originally start at UGA. I started at KSU, Kennesaw. I was a runner in high school. I did cross country and track. Ran a lot, and now I have knee problems.
I can relate.
But we used to travel, go to New York, Florida, North Carolina, Virginia. We had a pretty good team, but we were also running like 60 miles a week. So it was very challenging. So I went to KSU, started there running. I was there running, and then at running 60 miles, in summer camp, getting ready for the season. One day I came in and my knees were pretty red, and after shower they were very red. And I think that was like, I said, that's it. I can't, if they're like this now, if I keep going, I'm going to be older. I'm going to have a lot of knee issues. And I already do, right? If I kneel or squat, like they're tender, right?
Right.
So
you want to be able to walk when you're older.
Yeah. I want to be able to play with my kids and grandkids, right?
Exactly.
So after KSU, I transferred to Georgia. I had the very rude awakening that not a lot of credits from KSU transferred to UGA. So I graduated in 4.5 years because a lot of my classes had to retake. And I guess looking back, I could have asked to take a test to see if I could have gotten credit, but I didn't know. My parents didn't know anything about college. I was kind of figuring everything out on my own.
Yeah.
So then at UGA, I transferred. My degree was in computer systems engineering. It focused on hardware and software. So I learned Java, coding structures, networking, algorithms. But I also got the ability or the privilege to design printable circuit boards, working with microchips, programming in assembly, working with Arduino boards. And I think this was around the time that Raspberry Pis were starting to come out. And so really got to blend hardware and software because up until that point, my goal was to work for an auto manufacturer because I loved cars, right? And so working with GM was a natural progression to that. I wanted to work in the software in the cars. But, that didn't work out because I didn't want to move to Michigan. Too cold. So I was at UGA, and every semester – I had a rude awakening my first semester. Coming from KSU, I did minimal studying compared to high school and AP classes. And man, I had a rude awakening. My GPA dropped quite hard.
Like, oh, college is hard.
Yeah, UGA kicked my butt. But then after that, I was like, all right, got to get focused again. President's list, dean's list, the rest of this every semester after that. And I made sure to put the letter that we got in the mail on my mom's fridge and my dad's fridge, the family fridge. And then from there, took 18, 17 courses every semester to try to catch up so it wouldn't be 5 years.
Right.
4.5. And then I graduated that December, started working immediately in January at GM.
Awesome. Yeah. Very cool story. So your first language is Spanish.
Yes.
And then you had to learn English.
Yes.
And then you learned coding, which is its own language.
Yeah. Learning object-oriented programming was very interesting. I'd never seen anything about it or like it. In high school, we had engineering programs, but they're more architectural, like building a bridge, Yeah, I guess that or aerodynamics, and we would go do challenges or competitions here for Georgia. I was at Georgia Fair, some fairgrounds or something like that. I can't remember. We my senior project was a catapult to launch an egg and have it a parachute and land without exploding.
Without it breaking.
Mine exploded. Yes.
Womp womp.
Yeah, but my senior project in college was much more challenging, and it was there for a long time. Actually, we worked on a renewable source bike sharing program. So it was a bike that you can lock into a station, and the station was solar panel. It was powered by a solar panel, and we had a website where you could log in, register, and you could check out and check in the bike. And the bike had an RFID tag at the station where the station could read it. An actuator would unlock and lock it back into place and would check it in for you, and everything would be stored in the database.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We got a grant from the Office of Sustainability. It was $1,500 or something like that. But, we took it and ran with it.
Right.
People focused on designing the board, the chips. I focused on the back end, the database design, the website. It wasn't pretty. I'm not a UI guy. And then we had others focused on the wiring with the solar panel and the batteries, and working with the actuators and the RFID tags. So it was pretty challenging, but it was really rewarding because it was the first time that I had worked on a project where I saw the end product, right?
Yes.
Working in code, you run it and you're like, okay, it's spitting out exactly what I want in my terminal. But this was, you wrote the code, you put it on a chip, put it on a board, put it into a housing, wired it, powered it, connected to everything, and saw it go live.
Right.
Somebody, I remember bringing up my phone, bringing Safari back then, logging in and seeing, boop, unlock, took it out, rode around for a little bit, just came up to the station, automatically detected it and locked it. And that was pretty awesome.
That was my code.
Yeah. It was the first time that I had been on a project that was the scope was broad, right? There were a lot of moving pieces that we may necessarily not be directly related, but still affected the overall system.
Right.
And demoing that at Tate, which is the student center in Athens, for other students to come by and teachers and professors to see was pretty cool.
Excellent. Well, other than working on your cars and driving them, what do you like to do for fun outside of work?
Let's see. I think one of my favorite hobbies that I recently picked up, or that I picked up as an adult, is probably skiing. I tried snowboarding at first. It was an awful experience. We went to Snowshoe, West Virginia. My friend said, he was like, oh, you can use my board. It's what I used in college. He's 6'2". I'm 5'5". Okay. There's the height difference matters.
Yes.
Especially with a board that at that age was, I think, like 25 years old.
Right.
But anyways, that's just me making excuses for being bad. I spent the entire time. First, there was very little snow there.
East Coast snow.
Yeah, no, they were just blowing ice. And so I was miserable. I kept falling. And I remember just looking up, wearing my goggles, fully covered, and just feeling the ice hit my face. And I said, I hate this. I hate this. My butt hurt. My wrist hurt. I said, I'm never doing this again. And then next year, my friends were like, "Oh, you want to go skiing? Try out skiing. We're going out to Utah." I was like, "Sure." I'm taking a class this time.
Yeah.
So I got rentals. I took a class, and it was fantastic.
Yes.
French fries, pizza slice.
Yeah,
French fries,
exactly.
Pizza slice.
Especially on the greens.
Yeah, I wish. I started on greens, and then my friends were like, "Oh, you got it. Let's go." Started taking me immediately. The first one was a blue. That's like a medium level, I would say.
Yes.
Medium level run. I was very nervous, like, oh my gosh,
right.
Having a yard sale every time I fell.
Right. Yeah, and the pizza slices don't cut it on the blue runs.
Especially over moguls, right? Bumpy runs. Did that, and eventually like, oh, you got it. We'll take you down this black. I was like, are you sure? Are you sure?
Bad idea.
I got to the top of it. I looked down and I said, I'm so screwed. I think I made it like 10 feet before I fell. And then my right ski was 20 feet up the hill. I'm still sliding, just trying, like looking up, just holding up my other ski to make sure it doesn't fall.
Right.
But even though it was painful and I could have broken something, it was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
There's something about having a mid-mountain beer. So like, in the mountain, there may be like a lodge where there's lunch where they serve food or whatever. And then you can go up to the peak or whatever. But like mid-mountain, you can get some food. And I remember having my beer and some fries. That was my lunch that day.
Yes.
And just sitting there and full decked snow gear as the snow is coming down and just enjoying life, right?
Yes.
It's like a separation almost, or like a little break from reality.
Yes.
So I love it. Now I try to go once a year if I can, and I love it. I've been to a few places, Colorado. I've gone to Breckenridge, Copper Mountain, Vail. Utah, that was Park City. Montana was what is that? Goodness, Big Sky.
Yes.
Fantastic mountain. The terrain there is absolutely beautiful. Gosh, it's like everywhere you look, it is just like another picture from Nature magazine or something.
Right.
So then I think that tied with my car driving is like really just kind of like
Scenic views,
right? Because with driving, I've done the entire East Coast. I've done the entire West Coast. Well, not the entire West Coast, but a pretty good bit of it. I recently did the Pacific Coast Highway, and that was absolutely beautiful. So just kind of seeing things, experiencing things. That's what I really love to do.
Yeah. The last time I went skiing, it was at Copper Mountain. And I have only ever mastered the greens, but I was having lunch and you could see people coming down the blacks. And I was like, how are they not falling down? It looks so steep from the bottom.
I know. And then you put it on video. If you wear like a GoPro or something, it's not steep at all.
Yeah.
You're like, what do you mean this is flat? But you're living, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm shaking.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have any pets at home?
Yes. I have a cat. His name is Casanova.
Aw.
He goes by Nova. I used to have a dog, recently passed. Her name was Stella.
Aww.
She would be Princess Stella.
Princess Stella. Did your donkey have a name when you were a kid?
Yes, but I can't remember. I try to think about it. I always give I give nicknames to everything.
Yes.
And my dog, I remember my dog's name from back then. His name was Greñas, which means like messy hair.
Oh,
because he was a mutt,
right?
So, out in the country, he's just
all that tangly, messy hair.
Oh yeah, but I loved him. But yeah, I don't remember my donkey's name. He was awesome though.
What advice would you give to a younger person who's just starting out in their career?
I would advise, for them to just be a sponge. Right at the beginning, you're building out your toolkit. You may have a hammer, but you're still missing a screwdriver, a saw, a level, right? You're trying to, like, when you're first, I think college and university, whatever institution you go to, it gives you the ability to learn. It gives you the fundamental tools in an area to give you the background knowledge to really build up those skills, right? And so when you get out into the real world, in the professional world, chances are you're going to be using maybe, a subset of those skills, maybe not directly applied to what you're doing. So you have to lean on those same skills that you use for studying, for learning, for asking questions, for going outside of class material to really understand something to apply to your job.
Right.
Right. So just be a sponge and absorb as much as you can. That's something I wish I would have done. And I wish somebody would have given me that. So one, be a sponge, but like I said earlier, you are really the driver of your own career.
Yes.
And sometimes you have to go out and grab it.
Yes.
When opportunity presents itself, you have to. As much as your leader, your manager, your mentor, whoever wants to push you and enable you to be the best version of you, you have to be the one willing to put in the work, the dedication, the risk to fail, right? To miss a shot.
Yep.
Every shot you take, you automatically miss.
Yes.
So I'd rather at least line up and, do my granny shot and at least try, as scared as I may be. So I think that's what I would advise.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. When you said that earlier, I was like, wow, I wish I could go back and tell, young Jenny, you're the driver of your own career.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think that's, part of what I'm doing now. In my position as manager, I also mentor people now, separate from my team. So I find a lot of value in giving back to others that may not know or not be exposed to or are curious to learn, right? They're saying, okay, I know where I'm at and I feel like I'm missing something or I feel like I could use some guidance. So I find a lot of value in that because, when I was as you were saying, at that age, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Right. I was trying, and I'm very thankful and very blessed to have wonderful, loving parents. But the reality is that they didn't come from that background, or I'm the first person in my family to go to college.
Right.
And so I was figuring things out on my own, and I wish I could have had or known that to ask.
Yes.
And you say, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But when you're in the thick of college, are you really looking for that? I wasn't.
Right.
I was so enamored by college in general because it's such a shift from where I grew up with. And in high school, man, I remember getting a tour of Athens and thinking, wow, this is beautiful. This is amazing. I was in middle school when I first drove by it. I said, wow, this is college. Maybe one day I'll be able to come here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, lucky enough, thanks to academics and working hard, I did.
Yeah.
Right. And I graduated from there. But I was just so lost in the sauce. How could I was focused on getting my good grades, getting my GPA up, and then, going playing soccer with my friends on Saturday. Or
Right.
Like right. Right.
Excellent advice. Well, Oscar, thanks so much for joining us on Not Just a Quick Look today. We really enjoyed having you here.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Not Just a Quick Look is a production of NCR Voyix Corporation. Thank you to all of our NCR Voyix employees who have participated as a guest on the show. Our producer is Julia Ogilvie. Our editor is Mattia Jeremic. Any opinions stated in Not Just a Quick Look are those of the podcast guest and or host, not NCR Voyix Corporation. Subscribe to our show to get updates about new episodes. Thank you for listening to Not Just a Quick Look, available wherever you get your podcast. Copyright NCR Voyix Corporation 2025. All rights reserved.